What's your name, your age, and where are you from?
My name is Alex May. I'm 30 years old, and I'm from Laurel, Mississippi.
Sweet. Okay. What is the point of this interview? Why did you say yes to this?
The reason I wanted to do this interview is so hopefully I can reach somebody that's struggling with addiction and to show them that there is a solution.
Sweet. You have a sobriety date?
It is September 25th, 2018.
So for you, how long has that been?
It's been a little over 18 months.
That's awesome. All right. Tell me about how you grew up.
Well, I mean, I had a really good childhood, to be honest with you. I never wanted for anything. I had loving parents and loving and supportive grandparents. And to be honest with you, I don't really know why I started using. I guess it was for like fun, you know, but my childhood was great. I can't really say it was bad.
Okay, so you got a pretty good upbringing.
Yes, for sure.
So think about this then. So like, when did you use your first drug?
Let's see. I'd say I was probably like 17, about to turn 18.
Okay.
I started later on in life.
What was it that you used the first time?
Marijuana.
Marijuana?
Yeah.
It's like
the weed. Yeah.
It's like the one drug that everybody uses.
Yeah, it was definitely my gateway.
So then, what drugs did you use over your career?
Oh gosh, there's been a variety. A menagerie of drugs, I guess you could say. It was cocaine, ecstasy, meth, amphetamine, which was my DOC, and let's see, God, there's countless Percocets, Lortabs, you know. I love Xanax. I had a heavy addiction to those. Pretty much everything. The only things I didn't try was I wasn't a big fan of like heroin.
Yeah, why?
Because I had a friend that tried it one time, and he came to me and he was like bawling, and he begged me to never try it. He said he tried it one time, and he said he laid in his bed for like 2 weeks, his bones were aching, and that was enough to like, I trusted him, and I was like, okay, that's scary.
Turn you off of heroin.
It turned me off, so I never tried that, and then I never tried crack, you know.
Okay.
That just wasn't my cup of tea. So.
All right.
But pretty much anything other than that is fair game. Like.
Well, so after that first experience, tell me about your progression. Like, where did you start and where did you?
I mean, it started out just an occasional fun with friends, you know, like social using, and then it kind of just like social using wasn't cutting it, you know. I wanted to get that feeling constantly. So like with drinking, I guess you could say, like, I was working at UPS. I was around like 19 years old, and I had a friend that would actually buy me alcohol, and I would go over to my other friend's house, and we would be drinking at like 9 o'clock in the morning because I was a preloader. So I'd work from like 4 o'clock in the morning until about 9 o'clock in the morning, right before the trucks left. So I was getting like wasted. I'm talking about at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and like that was a lot of fun for me. And then I started wanting to do it all the time, you know. So it progressed probably around 19 and 20, to where it was just like I had to have something in me to feel different all the time.
So was the drinking just not enough? You moved on?
Oh, it was, I mean, the effects of drinking wore off so quick, you know, like that, the chase of that euphoria just wasn't cutting it. It was just making me depressed, you know. I wasn't really cutting it. So I was using like pills and stuff, you know. I wanted to feel a different type of way. So that was when it really progressed into a lot of marijuana use and like Percocets, you know. I love the way it made me feel. So that's when it kind of started steadily progressing worse and worse.
Gotcha. Okay. When did it stop being fun?
Oh my goodness. It stopped being fun, like, I don't know, about 3 years in, because it got to the point where I needed to have it all the time. And that chase of needing to get high, and that feeling of not being able to get it, and like that feeling of the withdrawals, you know, of needing it and not being able to get it, and that misery. And like, so at a young age, you know. So about 7 years ago, that was when it really stopped being fun. But I mean, at that point, I need it. It's like a physical dependency, you know.
How are you getting it? How are you?
Any way that I could. I mean, you know, you have your usual dealers that you go through, but if they don't have it, then you have to find other people, other sources. So, I mean, I could always find it. You know, it's just a matter of having money.
Did you have a job at the time?
Yeah, I've always had like jobs here and there. You know, as far as like my job longevity at a job, I never could extend. Like, I think the longest I ever worked at a place was like AutoZone. I worked there for like three and a half years, you know. But that was when I was younger. I got that job when I was like 16. So 16 till about 19, I had that job, but no, I mean, when I did have a job, all my money went to drugs, like, and partying. But yeah, so it got miserable really quick.
So what time? We know when it wasn't fun. Did anyone ever tell you that you had a problem?
Yes.
Who was
yes.
the first to tell you that?
The first person to tell me that, I think it would have to be my family. You know, I thought I could fool them for so many years. Like, I would come into family get-togethers, whether it be Christmas, Thanksgiving, I'd be high out of my mind. It then got to the point where I thought that I could smoke weed and I was normal because I was smoking it 24 hours a day, or whether I'd be high on pills or Xanax, like, and they would be like, look, like, we can definitely tell that you're using something, like, it's affecting your whole life, like, why can't you see it? And I'm just like, y'all are nuts, like, y'all can't even tell I'm high, but yet they're telling me I'm high, and, you know, it's crazy.
Well, then, let's go straight into, so tell me how it affected family, professional relationships, you know, who was affected by it, what happened there?
I was a tornado, and it affected everybody that I came into contact with. I mean, whether it be my family, my friends, you know, it got to the point where I was stealing from everybody that I loved. I had no care, like, for anybody. I was just ruthless. I was just trying to feed that addiction, you know, and it affected everybody, and I didn't care. I had no feelings, so.
Did you get any repercussions for being on drugs?
For a long time, there was really no repercussions because, like, I don't know, I guess I could play it off, per se. But as I got older and I went through my divorce, and, like, I really held on to my ex-wife. She really paid for a lot of stuff. Like, she had a job she was able to use and still, like, go to work. But I wasn't able to keep a job, so I'd just be at home just using drugs, you know, and she was pretty much like, she would talk to my family and say, look, he's doing good, he's, you know, she would be my alibi, but really I was just messing up, wasn't going to work, wasn't looking for a job, and so she really was, I guess, my biggest enabler back in the day. So it didn't start getting, like, to the point where there was no help and it was hard to use, you know, because it was just like when she left, I guess it was about 24, 25, somewhere around in there. It's really, really spotty in my mind. Like, there's a big time frame for my using career that, like, I still have trouble just connecting the dots on.
But and you're a creative guy.
Yes, for
sure.
sure.
A lot with music. What did you feel like the drugs were helping you?
At first, I did. I didn't think that I would ever be able to make music again without using methamphetamine, because, like, I would use it and then I could just stay up for weeks at a time just making music, you know. But really, it was horrible because, like, that's all I would focus on. I'd be just making music for like 2 weeks straight and wouldn't leave the house, you know, would not give anybody else any attention. It was just all about me. Yeah. So that just, I was just digging my hole deeper and deeper, you know, for years. But yeah, that was one of my biggest struggles coming into recovery, was I never thought that I'd be able to make music again without having my mind, you know, completely altered.
Well, okay. So here's a little personal. So give me a glimpse at one of those regretful moments that happened when you were out there.
There's so many to choose from, man. This is a difficult question for me.
Okay.
Because, I can just name time after time of just things that I've done that I just regret. But, I don't know, it's just a specific time. That's so hard. I guess the one that stands out the most would just be towards the end of my addiction. Like, I was psychotic, would be to put it in the least. But my family had pretty much had me cut off from the world. You know, they were trying to help me in the way that they knew how to help me, which was just let me stay at home on their property. You know, like, I had like this little house behind their house that I lived in. And I don't know, I just remember just getting, like, selling all my stuff, you know, to drug dealers, getting them to meet me on the road and getting meth and not eating, just using meth. But it then got to the point where I was listening to the TV for messages. Like, I'm talking, like, messages from another world. They were going to take me away from here, because I didn't believe that I could have got myself to that point. Like, I wanted to place the blame on everybody else. There's no way that I could have done that to myself. Like, I'm too smart, You know what I'm saying? Like that's
You
the
all are
kind
dumb.
of crazy stuff that I was believing, and it was just it then got to the point where like I would listen to the TV for messages. Like I would see a place in town, like a local commercial would come on, and I'd be like, I have to go there. That's where the mothership's gonna be, you know. And like, and what's crazy is during all this, I still thought I was Jesus. Like, so I'm thinking I'm Jesus, and I'm about to go meet these people at this local commercial that I seen. I'm walking through town, you know, and like my family has to see this, you know, and like it's so crazy because like, and the very last time my mother, like I called from Burger King, and I guess that was probably about a 5 mile walk. I'd walked into town, just walked all around town, and I finally was just like, I give up, because I was hearing voices in my head and stuff, you know, and it then got to the point where I thought that I needed to hurt somebody in order to escape my reality.
So then let's talk about reality for a minute there. Where did drugs take you in your head, and why was that so effective?
Oh my God, drug took me to the most chaotic points of insanity that you could go to. Like, I didn't know what was real. What I thought was real was just some grand fantasy world, you know? And it got to the point where that was my reality. It didn't matter what anybody told me. Like, they were all lying. I was the only one that knew the truth. I was listening to all these voices in my head, and they were all telling me what I needed to do in order to escape, you know? And like that was scary. That was scary. Once I finally did get some help, that's one of my main reasons to stay sober to this day, is because like that is so scary. I'm talking about that. It's scary to think that that's what was real to me. Like
Then so the question is, was there a certain situation that made you think you needed to stop?
yes, it was because I'm not a violent person by any stretch of the imagination. I've never hurt anything. Like that's just not who I am. And when I thought that I needed to hurt somebody in order to escape, that was when I went to my family and I said, I need help. I don't know what to do. This is when it was too much for me. That's when I knew, because that wasn't me. I said I would never be that way, because that's not any kind of the thoughts that I have. Like, I've never been able to even hit anything as hard as I can. It's just something in my very soul that will not allow me to. And
so specifically, what happened to make you get sober?
Specifically, I lost my mind. I thought that I needed to hurt somebody, and I went to my family and I told them they needed to do something. They'd been sending me to this like, I guess you could say this like emergency mental health place in Laurel, Mississippi. That would keep me for like a week.
Whitfield?
No, it's not Whitfield. This was just like a crisis unit in
Okay,
Laurel.
okay.
They would send me there for a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and they would just put me on some medicine. They wouldn't really diagnose the problem. They would just slap drugs at me. And I would come back, and sometimes I would come back and I would feel the exact same way I did before I left. And I remember there was one time where I told my mom, I was like, I still believe everything that I believed when I got in here. I was like, y'all are the crazy ones. And like thinking back on that, like that's scary. I can't believe I put them through that, you know, like.
Well, after your experience there, where did they send you next?
Well, after my mama came and picked me up from Burger King, I told her that I thought I needed to hurt somebody. And then I came home and I talked to my dad and I was like, y'all gotta help me. And so I went back to my room, and I guess a couple hours later, the police show up. And they were like, we don't know what else to do. We're trying to get you some help. Just please go with them. And so I did. And I went to jail for about 2 weeks, sobered up in jail. That was actually September 25th, 2018. That was my very first day of being sober, was in jail for 2 weeks. And they sent me to Whitfield. And that was where I experienced what a truly crazy person is, I guess you could say. You know, probably not the right term, but people that aren't in the right mind.
Sure. And then where'd you go from there?
From there, I went to first I went to the psychological ward, you know, the psych ward. I was there for about 14 days. And then they told me that I needed to go to A&D, alcohol and drug, which is like a primary treatment at Whitfield. So I went there for 45 days. And then from there, they transferred me to Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay.
To the Pines in Katy Hill.
That's where we met, yeah.
Yes.
And you were there
Crazy
for 90
ride.
days. What was the Pines like? What did you learn over there?
The Pines was probably the first time that I ever felt like love from people that wasn't my family. When I first walked in there, I was so ready and willing, because like I was finally getting a little bit of my brain back. I was able to diagnose what was real and what was not, you know, but it still was not all there. It was still splotchy. But when they done my intake, I just felt like they really cared. And it was just an amazing experience, you know, to feel like people understand me. You know, they deal with this all the time, and I never knew that there was help like that out there. And it was just
help.
like,
Where were you getting the help from the most?
it was just from all the staff, you know.
You were finding help through staff and counselors and stuff?
Yes, for sure.
Well, and after the Pines, where'd you go?
After the Pines, I made my next big step and my second best decision, which would be to go to the Last House on the Block.
And that's like a sober living place?
Yes, it's kind of like a halfway house.
And you spent some time there?
Yes, I spent 7 months.
So then, now that time is out and you've finished, what is life like today? What are you doing today?
Oh my goodness, life is amazing today. I managed to be blessed with a job at working at the rehab that I was once a client at. Mm-hmm. Like I work at the Pines in Katy Hill. And
your story went from doing all the drugs
Yeah.
to helping all the guys there.
Yes. And my life is a blessing today.
So what's that like?
It is.
Seeing
Words can't describe like how the joy that I feel in my heart. Because like to know that I see people in there every day that kind of they see life through a skewed point of view, because like they don't. I mean, they're still not all there yet. They've been out in addiction, and they finally come to a place where they're not using drugs, so they're getting their thinking skills back, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And to have a story as like mine, knowing that I was in like the pits of insanity for years, and to finally be in a place where I've been sober a year and a half now, and like my brain is completely functioning again. Like I'm off all medication. Like I was blessed. I don't even have to take any meds anymore. Like,
well, what has it done for your relationship with family?
It done a complete 180. Like my relationship with my family is just in a place that I couldn't have prayed for a better outcome. Like they trust me again, and like they see the change in me. Like they can just tell from my conversations like where my head's at, you know. And it's just a blessing to know that like they don't have to see me that way anymore, you know. Especially like my grandparents. I never wanted anything to happen to them before I got my life together, because they've always seen me just be a horrible person and just not care, you know. And then my mom and dad, they get to see me just be the man they always knew I could be. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful for my experience. I'm thankful for all the hard times, because it turned me into a great man. And
well, here, let me ask you this one: what would happen if you think you gave it one more try at one of those drugs?
It would be game over for me. Game over. There wouldn't be no coming back. Like, and that's what scares me more than anything. Like, it is just telling you, if it wasn't for my higher power, who I call Jesus Christ, like I don't think I would have ever come back from that. Because like the psychosis that I was in was so deep and felt so real to me that I'm scared that if I do use meth again or anything that alters my consciousness, I may not ever make it back. And that scares me more than anything. Like, you know, like, because I might end up in Whitfield or a place like that forever, you know. And that was enough to scare me straight.
If you had any advice for anybody out there that's struggling and suffering right now, what would it be?
It would be to find help. Go to somebody that you trust. I don't know who that is for you, but just find help. Just seek help. There's people out there that have been through this, and there's people out there that want to see you make it. And it doesn't matter how far gone you are. It doesn't matter what you've done or who you've hurt. There's people there that care about you.
And you think there's coming back from those dark places?
Man, there is. You're never too far gone. Because I deal with people every day that are in the same place that I was. And the fact that I can give them hope because I was there with them, like there's always hope. I mean, you can make it. Like, and that's a fact.
I love it. Well, thanks for being here and doing this interview. Is there anything else you want to put on there before I shut down?
God is good.
I love it.
The 12-step program changed my life. And I'm just thankful for this outlet to be able to give people hope. And I thank you. And it's been awesome.
Cool. All right. Thanks, buddy.